Welcome back to Your Terms. And last time we were talking about starting from the bottom, and we got so deep into it, we forgot to give you guys some gems that we wanted to share. So we're going to round two on talking about starting from the bottom, your bottom. And Ray, we finished and we were like, dang, we forgot to share some really important things about our struggle and our journey. I don't want to call the whole thing a struggle, our journey. So we talked about obstacles, and those are really important. They shaped us in a lot of ways, and kind of we shared our kids. What is another obstacle that you think set you on the path that you're on today?
I mean, being transparent, because I do believe we are as transparent. We are transparent, but we both grew up, I believe, with like, you keep it to yourself and your problem is your problem and it's no one else's business. And I come from a family where it's like secrets, like that shouldn't be exposed. And we don't hold as much as like our grandparents and our aunts and uncles did, because they got some secrets that we try to get out of them that they won't give. Yeah. But I do feel like we're not as transparent with the world about like where we come from and the struggles that we, had. And so for me, I just wanted to touch bases on like how some things in my younger years impacted me to be better in my grown-up years, So even like with my son, like I said, having a heart defect and having to go through that and the struggle of making sure paying like crazy bills because I wanted him to be at the Mayo Clinic or the University of Minnesota or like get the best health ever. I think that can go on into my adult life of dealing with him a lot better when it was time for him to get a pacemaker or when I had a brain tumor, right? And I had to go through surgery, because I would have been like, I'm going to give up. Like, no way. Like, there's no way. But being raised by a single parent, by my grandma, and her teaching me how to be a strong woman made me know how to navigate life with a tumor, with kids, with still work, with still, travel and everything else. I still had to live a normal life, even though I was going through this tumor situation. I think another big factor is me going into like single parent life. I was a full single parent with my oldest child, right? And then I was married for a very long time, and now I'm back a single parent again, right? Like back a single parent again. And let me not, take all the credit away from him. He's still present, in their life. So we'll say that he's present there. But majority of the time, the kids are with me, and I'm single parent. It's not like we're calling each other up and like, hey, can you pick up from school? He doesn't even live in the area anymore. So I think growing up and becoming a single parent at 21 years old definitely prepared me 10 times better to be a single parent at 43 years old. Yeah. And I also think that as easy as it may look, our life may look easier. I think single parent at 21 was easier.
I just didn't know.
I had better energy, more energy. I was like, okay, I could tackle all this thing. Yeah. And I had less stress and cares, if that makes sense, right? So now we're juggling businesses, we're juggling family, we're juggling life, we're juggling just trying to keep up with ourselves and be a single parent. And then I don't think that, and I'm going to let you, I don't think that people understand how hard single parent is. Someone one day discredited me. They were talking about a coworker being a single parent and she was struggling and everything else. I'm like, it's hard, And they're like, oh, you have money. What does money have to be with single parents? Yeah. When you have to pick them up from school, take them to baseball practice, then they want to play football at the same time too. Then you have another one that plays volleyball. Yeah. And then they do the after school program, right? And then this and this and this and this, and still have to deal with a college student that's hungry, but won't tell you, you know what I mean? And worry about, right? It's a lot. So I think that my 21-year-old self prepared me for the medical issues in my 43-year-old life, right? And I'm going to let you touch bases, and I'm going to come back on some other stuff.
Yeah, I think obstacles, certainly being a mom, completely shaped who I was, because we grew up together. I had no idea and no real concern about if I'm parenting right, because I don't know what I'm doing at all. Right? I do not know. And so you learn a lot on just everybody. Like if you watch your kids and their ability to get in line with whatever the new skit that you say is, you learn it from your kids can be that life lesson. And I got an opportunity to learn it early because I didn't know what I was doing. I did things right sometimes, and I'm proud of things I did right. But I can give myself a real reality check. Like that was garbage. That was basura. You're over here trying to do this and that. And, you know, it was not a good decision. Now, it wasn't on like a you're so naughty space because I didn't even know enough. And I was pretty to myself, so nobody probably knew all of the horrible decisions I made. But I will say that lots of times people think, oh, you're a lawyer, and that for whatever reason, people believe lots of lawyers don't make any money or a lot of money. And they say, oh, well, you make a lot of money, so you wouldn't understand where I'm trying to get to. And you were able to dive into these other businesses because you had this base of money that I don't have. And what's important for me to share in all transparency is when I got my first job and had a kid and decided to, you know, try to build a life for myself in Houston, I understood from this budget, this will be your life. This is the salary. This is how much you pay your bills, and this much is left. Just a little bit much is left, which is why I became a real estate agent, because I at least understood just the math of it all. No one's going to grant you an extra $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 in your life. And so I started working part-time as a real estate agent because the math had to math, right? It wasn't just like, if I want to make more money or do more things or travel more or start another business, I have to either have time or money. And if I don't have either, then we're screwed. But most of the time, if you're real with yourself, you may have extra time. And real estate gave me a chance. I work from, 9 to 6, but on the weekends I could sell houses. I very quickly went to commercial, or I can help people find office space. What does that require of my time? So people assume like it was just like, oh, you've always been lucky. And the obstacles show me the luck is me. The luck is the hard work. Yeah. The luck is
and God.
And understanding like, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to invest in real estate with $1,000. I wasn't always looking for like a get rich quick scheme. It was like, okay, slow and steady. Here it is. I'm not, oh, you could start buying houses for $1. I never even seen a person in my 20 years in real estate buy a house for $1. Or, you just knock on somebody's door and they turn over the keys. Now, I believe that has happened to people. It's never happened to me.
It's never happened to me. Tell me.
But it didn't, right? It didn't keep me from doing what I wanted to do, even if that path was further out. It wasn't immediate. It wasn't like, oh, boom, I'm going to turn around in real estate and I'm going to make X, Y, Z. Now, being consistent, working hard. By the time I went to law school, I was able to keep my career and have a network of clients so I could go to school at night. And they're not perturbed and distracted and think I can't do the job, right? But that wasn't just an overnight thing. I got my real estate license when I was 23, and I didn't go back to law school for another 6 years. So all of that was a build to give me the space to take a new leap of faith. And so sometimes you just have to keep climbing the mountain. I wish I could make it sound glamorous and you could just see the peaks of my life and say, wow, that's so cool. You did so much. Man, if you don't know the mud I trudged through to get there, and the late night and the tears and the frustration and the belief I couldn't do it. Once I started paying or signing up for student loans, I was like, well, I could do law school because I'm gonna get my money's worth. That is an early lesson that just stuck with me. I'm always like, well, am I going to get my money's worth? Probably my kids hate it because I'd be like, oh, you gotta go to that class because I gotta get my money's worth, right? And so those obstacles made me having to say, okay, this job, it pays me this. If I want this lifestyle, this ain't that. And no one's going to give me a different lifestyle. Either I'm going to make it or I'm not going to have it. And if you're not going to have it, that's fine. Get your peace with it and enjoy the life that you do have. But if you see it and you want it, then go get it.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't think they see the sacrifices that you're making either. I mean, you're on a rush like I am, like leaving work, going to swim, go to this, or this, like trying to figure it out. I think that is the behind the scenes stuff that people miss out, but also is the behind the scenes stuff that shaped us into the people that we are. Like, I remember like as a kid, me having to like leave work because I always did OJT. So OJT was like on the job training where you're able to leave school early and go to work. Now, my grandma didn't tell me I had to work anything like that, but she was so strict that I was like, I'm going to do something to get out the house. And I would take like the long way home. I would walk home just so that I can, take me time, skipping down the street. Oh, and then where I'm from, like, you're not going to go too many blocks before there's a family member's house. Like in St. Paul, and my family is one of the biggest families in St. Paul. My grandma had 10 kids, her sister had 14 kids. And that was a different struggle on its own, growing up with like 21 cousins the same age as me. People think that's fun, but it's not when we're like brother, sister type fighting and, you know, everything else. But I would take that opportunity to be able to stop at family's house and visit, you know, family. And that right there, I think, prepared me for like the times where life stopped me from doing things, if that makes sense. Like, okay, I work too much, or I can't do this, or this is this. And I always see myself driving home now, and I take like the long way home. But it ain't to visit family. It's to listen to music and take time before I go to my kids, right? But that showed me like, hey, there are going to be obstacles. It's going to be things that you can't do, but there's ways around it.
Yeah.
And that way was negative because I used to get a whooping every time I took forever to come home. But
she know how long it takes me to walk home.
She know how long it took home. And she know all the people along the way that said, oh, I see her stopping, talking to people, right? But what it taught me is that when obstacles are put in my way, there's another way around it, right? You either go around it, you go over it. However it is, you need to get through it. Don't let that roadblock, you know, stop you.
Yeah. And I think no matter what you think someone's life look like, you just have to have the understanding from your own perspective that somebody's going through something.
Yep.
Everybody's going through something. So when you understand that,
and a lot of times it's way worse than what you're going through.
You can lose the illusion like, oh, she's got it easier. She could do that because she's just smarter than me, or whatever the ers are that you put in your life. She's smarter. She's more talented. She's prettier. All those things, man, that's an illusion. People have, the most beautiful person could feel like they are the ugliest person on the inside, right? You don't know what someone is going through internally, and those are the real obstacles. We talk about things like being a young mom and not having money, and you see that as the obstacle, but what really will stop you is how you feel and how you internalize that. Like, did you say either I didn't have money at that time or I'm broke? Those are two different things.
Oh yeah,
right. That's a mindset versus who you are in the present moment versus how you think about life.
Now the thing about me is that I may sit back and talk about now like, oh, there was a time that I was broke, but in the moment I would never say I was broke. I believe you're like speaking stuff into existence when you say that. I grew up with a superstitious, to an extent, family where you don't put your purse on the floor because you're gonna be broke. Like, I don't know if you guys heard that, but just different stuff. And you don't talk stuff into existence. If not, the tongue is a powerful thing, my grandma would always say. And if you start believing yourself, then that's where you're going to be.
Yeah. So if you see an obstacle, it's a physical obstacle, it's a situation, it's life, but you don't internalize the obstacle, it gives you a lot more freedom to like figure out what you have to do to stay on your path. Stuff comes up in the way, and if you're hiking up a mountain and you plot a course, man, chances are you're going to have to change course, right? The obstacle's going to be there. Like you said, you could go through it, you could go around it, but you have to still progress if you want to reach that goal. But the progression, the older I get, I realize it's all in my mind. It's all in the way I think about things. It doesn't matter what happens to me externally, because whether I understand or see it or not, that stuff is happening to other people too. My mom had cancer. People die. That sounds sad. It makes me sad thinking about it, but it's true.
Yeah.
And one day I'm going to die. That can be an obstacle or that can be a springboard. And so when you see it that way, some of the things that you know and you look back, say that was an obstacle, but it really was a springboard. Me having my kids early was a springboard. It felt like an obstacle. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel fun, but it kept me motivated, it kept me focused when I could have been distracted and just like partying and kicking it, right? And so your mindset will determine what really remains an obstacle and what becomes a springboard if you give yourself space to grow, which is why I think we both invest so heavily on, even if we don't take care of ourselves, we try to take care of our mind and continue to evolve on the way we think about things and learn from other people who have different lessons to teach us, because the real challenge and where the fight happens is in your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Having a child at 21 years old that had a heart defect, really did something opposite of what people thought it would do, right? Like, it made me stronger, it made me a better mom, but it made me a risk taker. That's actually what made me a risk taker. When I was like, okay, so I just did that. At 21, I had a baby. He had a heart defect. I juggled all of this. I managed life. And then as soon as he was well enough, I upped and left the entire state, right? And part of the reason why I left was because of Texas Children's. And if I can do this for a child, then I can do this for myself. I say because part of me being this much of a risk taker can be negative sometimes. I do not think that anyone should go try this at home. But
read the instruction manual if you do.
I am the person that will leap, like, no matter what, because I do believe in order for you to get ahead in life, you have to fall. And you have to fall many times, right? But it's the getting back up part that's important. And I have fallen a bunch of times. There's a business right now that I think I'm still falling. No one thinks I am, but I think I'm falling. And every single day, I definitely am falling every single day. And I may be failing. It may be another life lesson of like, hey, let's give this up. Let's move forward. But I do believe having a child at 21 with a heart defect is the reason why I'm able to say, hey, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to start this business. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to take this risk. Right. And I'm a big person on not spending my own money. So I really have to go out there and find people. And I'm taking an even bigger risk because I'm using other people's money and I'm using other people's stuff. But it works. It works out because I put my mind to it. And I'm saying I'm not going to fail. And no matter if I do fail, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to be transparent with, the people that I'm dealing with. And I'm going to keep moving. And that child is what did that for me. Now, having 2 more kids 10 years later really taught me patience. And my oldest son always says, I could never do that. I would have never got away with that. I would have never, whatever, right? But when you have a child at 21 and then you turn around and you have another child at a little more than 10 years, so at 33 or something years old, right? It is very different. At that point, I'm like into life. I'm juggling even more. I'm juggling a husband. I'm juggling work. I'm juggling life. Now I'm juggling kids, right? You add that husband into the factor and now it like weighs it down even more. Having them gave me patience because I didn't want to be that parent that took my frustration out on them because I had a bad day, or, it would just, they got on my nerves because I'm older and I can't do it much. And then now I'm not 21 fully in shape. I'm not that track star anymore. I'm 33 years old, but I don't want to go through life where I'm not throwing a ball with them or doing whatever. I think that they kept me very healthy. Although the youngest one is who gave me the tumor.
We're not going to let him forget either.
The hormones from having him is what gave me the brain tumor.
I'm going to stalk him. I'll be like, you better take care of your mom. She don't like that nursing home. She don't want to go there.
Exactly.
Where's your savings?
Exactly. But I think God put him in my life to be able to take care. He's the only one that said he wasn't putting me in a nursing home. So, hey, I think he'll pay me back for that tumor.
Okay. That investment's going to pay off his face.
What else do you think kind of impacted your life? Like, not even when you're younger, what have you went through in your adult years that you believe was a struggle that has impacted your life, that helped you become a better person?
I think a lesson that just carried over is people be like, oh, you didn't look, the people think like you're just going on in life like unbothered and you're like swimming like a maniac. They say like a duck, like you can't tell what the paddle is. So people don't see like my franticness or like my man, I don't know what is going on. I don't know what I'm going to do, because I've learned to just be like being able to shake it off and like make a new plan in the morning. But I had my son at 33, but I was always a single parent. I don't even want to say single parent. I'm the sole parent for my son. There's not like any input, any financial time, any additional input. And so that impacts him and his point of view and, what he wants and seeing like traditional families. And it impacts me too, because, with my daughter, I did have a co-parent. And we may not have agreed on a million things, but he was a co-parent, And so not having that, and when there is, at the end of the day, if some decision has to be made, something has to be done, he wants to start AAU, he wants to go to track practice, the responsibility is for me solely, or for me to figure out. There is no one. If people help, that is a bonus, but it's not no one's else true responsibility to do it but me.
Yeah.
So that changes things when it comes to like when I planned for how my day worked or how my life worked. When Cheyenne was a kid, she was at her dad's house 2 days a week. So if nothing else, I knew I had me time, a break to go out, to have fun, to go on a date, whatever it was. When Wednesday comes, when Friday comes, those are my days, and I know it. And now it's like, you know, when my mom was alive, she would take Bronx on Friday, so I didn't have to take him to swimming, and I could sleep late, and I could go to a happy hour. Now it's like, boom, at 6:00. You have to be someplace and you don't want to be, because my mom was a parent. She was always late. I was always like the last kid sitting at like the bus stop, and they'd be like, this is before cell phones. So they'd be like, should we call your mom's office? And I'm like, no, she gonna come when she come. Like, there's nothing you can do to make her go any faster. And now, you know, people can just reach out and text. But at the end of the day, the responsibility is on me, and I have to figure those things out. And I have to not only balance my business, but be a present and attentive sole parent to my son and deal with, you know, individual personality just by myself, not with somebody else saying like, here's how to be a man or here's how to do boy stuff. I don't naturally love boy stuff. Honestly, it's hot at home. I don't want to spend 30 minutes out watching you basketball around town in 90-degree weather. Like that, if you ask for the highlight of my Saturday, that probably won't be what I pick from a multiple choice, right? I want to rest. I want to relax. I want to get something to eat. And that's not what he wants to do. And that's not who he is as a child. So the sacrifices to be made are mine and mine alone. Or I don't want to say that. I do have a support system. I have amazing friends like Ray, who will be like, we got Bronx on a Friday. I have a daughter who will help when she's been in college. But you know, I understand what responsibility is, and that everybody has their own things they have to do in life. And I just have to like fit what can happen for me in that. But I think it teaches you to stay flexible and also to like forgive yourself. Like if I have to say anything about the obstacles and failing, it is that just fail forward and forgive yourself. Okay, you did it. You did it wrong. Well, that sucks. Learn the lesson and move on. Yeah. Pick yourself back up. Dust yourself off. You're a little bruised. You're not broken. And you should be grateful that there's still the life left in you to reapproach it and say you're sorry, or to give somebody a hug, or, you know, call the friend you haven't reached out to, or the loved one you've been mad at. If the life gives you that opportunity, that's an opportunity starting your day. You started your day with breath, new opportunity to figure it out, to do it, to see it again, to have a new perspective. So I think being a sole parent just taught me a lot about like the team that you need to create. And sometimes that team is given to you and sometimes you create it. Yeah. Right. And you create yourself. And that's a powerful gift. We are creators. And I try to tell my kids, like, when those obstacles comes, you're creating the person who either overcomes them, who sees them as a challenge, who reaches for a friend for help, or the person who just says, I can't do it. But life didn't teach you that. You believe that. Life is always giving you a new opportunity. And it's your breath. Yeah. It's the present of the presence.
I don't think neither one of us set out to be single parents. Like I don't even think I seen it for myself. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, because although I love how I was raised and I have nothing negative to say about it, just the truth about it. I had friends that had 2-parent households, parents that were super successful and everything else. And I was like, hey, I want to not necessarily be like them, but I want to be a 2-person household. I know they went through problems, struggles. Some of them even separated for a little bit of time and came back together, whatever. But I wanted to have a 2-parent household for my kids so they can see how a man loves a woman and a woman loves a man, and they can get that love and that both parent feel. With Jair, you know, I basically for, you know, except for maybe the first year, did it all by myself for the remaining, you know, 20 years of his life. And with the kids, you know, they did have a 2-parent household all the way up until, you know, 3 years ago, or, you know, 3.5 years ago. But I never imagined that I would be, you know, kind of taking care of them, you know, on my own 85% of the time. So majority of the year, I'm a single parent to 3 kids, and that is definitely a lot. I will say that I have friends, like you said, like you, that would drive far to come get my kids. But it's hard for me to ask for help because I feel like, okay, it's not no one's responsibility, and we have so much going on in life. I don't want to add to it. So a lot of times I struggle through it and do majority of everything by myself, which is hard. And that's what I think that, it's not the pride. I can't say pride. It's just the, not wanting to help. That part I have to learn how not to do, because there is people saying like, help me, help me, help me. I'm just so weird when it comes to that. One more thing I wanted to touch bases on that kind of molded my life and what she was talking about is no one expects like to lose people. Death is like a hard thing. And so having a big family, I have a huge family, comes with blessings, positivity, negativity, and curses, I believe. And the bad part about it is everybody has to die one day.
Yeah.
So losing siblings, losing first cousins has been super dramatic and hard for me in life. But what I realize is that if you don't stop and go through it, because although I just told you there was obstacles and go around it, find a way, I 100% want to backtrack that and say you have to go through it, right? And maybe through it is over it, around it, but going through the emotions, the understanding, going through the whatever, how many stages of it is that it takes you to get through, you have to go through. Because if not, you don't understand the positive part that came from it.
Yeah.
Because as many people as I lost that is as close to me, that it has shaped my life and made me a better person. But it also took me a little while to realize like, I could never see you again. I could never see my kids again. I could never see whoever again. So that right there should add to what we said before, the goals of when we get home, making sure that we actually take our values of our life and actually live them in order. Because at the end of the day, that day that you say, hey, I'm gonna work till 8 p.m. is a day that it could be the last time you've seen one of your friends, your family, or something else, right? So, I mean, being here, it made me realize that being away from family, not being able to talk to them, our schedules are so crazy that we don't even, sometimes I don't talk to nobody in America, in the U.S.
Like,
it's just move, go to sleep. Says that, hey, when I get home, I'm going to learn what I learned from the bottom, right? I'm going to learn from the obstacles that I went through life, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in play with my values and actually living.
Yeah. And I think you said something important, because it was like, I don't think you have to backtrack on that. I think you can, how you see an obstacle or a struggle or whatever, there may be a lot of solutions to it. It may be straight, it may be curve around, it may be call a friend. All those are solutions, but mentally you got to learn that lesson. And I think a lot of times our obstacles are on repeat, and they may, just like dating somebody, he got a different face and he may have a different name, but that's the same man you dated last time, right? And it's the same way. You may have the same struggle in business continuously because your discipline about your finances is not right. You may have the same struggle when it comes to trying to get a new job because you need to learn self-confidence, right? So I think there may be a million like physical ways that you get through things, but you have to take the internal lesson that was meant to teach you. So it can't just be like, oh, I got over it, I got through it or around it, and it's over, so I go for it. No, stop and say, what was that? How did it make me feel? What was the why? What motivated me through that? Asking yourself, you are your own judge and jury, if you will. What we share, what we don't share doesn't matter as much as how we think about ourselves and how we view ourselves and how we motivate ourselves. So learn the lesson, like take any situation in your life that you went through and say, like, what did I learn from that? Write it down. When that next situation comes up, there are so many jewels that you could teach yourself. So much wisdom just locked in your own mind, in your own heart, if you're willing to listen to it. Yeah. So what we might say just may reflect back something you already know. Like the answer is you, really, you got it. But we all need those different perspectives, and we need that time to like be quiet and still and say, what did that teach me? Why did that happen to me? It can't just be like, oh, because life hates me and no one likes me and I'm always going to be broke and I'm always going to have these problems. Like, no, it was there to teach you something. Yeah. And if you could use that something, man, your life can like skyrocket.
Yeah, I think I learned that not too long ago when you had to come. That was the first time I've ever went through anything emotional, right? And you're like, oh, I'm on my way, friend. I'm going to come and try to help you. But that really was a result of me not going through it. Me saying like, okay, I got kids to think about. I got this to think about. I'm going to put it in the back. And then years and years of stuff of like medical, divorce, problems. It builds up and it's like, wait, your body's like, no, can't take no more. And it comes out in however way it is, like depression or, sad or emotions or cry or whatever it is. And we definitely have to, for our mental health, for our physical health, have to go through it and stop and pay attention. Because if I wouldn't have realized, like, this is one thing and we'll end it. What I need y'all to realize, and this is off topic, but this is because of how a lot of us were raised, stop and pay attention to your body. Because I was going through this tumor for years with the weight gain that just came out of nowhere, right? And I went to the doctor. I understood something was wrong with me, but I didn't stop to be like, oh, I need to go to a different doctor. Yeah. I need to try something different. You know what I mean?
Trust myself.
I need to trust myself.
Wrong. You're not telling me the right thing.
Yeah. And when it came down to it and I started having memory loss and a whole bunch of weight gain and everything else, I'm like, wait, nope. Something is wrong with me. And that's when I actually took the time to find a different doctor and figure it out. So because of my upbringing of keep going, you got stuff to do. You can't have a pity party with yourself. You can't stop. It made me keep going. And when I went to that doctor, he told me one thing. He's like, I hope you don't take this offensive because this is a positive thing, but also a negative thing. One thing about African-American women is that you guys just keep going. He's like, you are on your deathbed right now. And you're like, oh, wait, gotta get him. Yeah, I gotta get home. He's like, and you just told me you have to pick your son at 5 o'clock. Find someone else to pick him up because we have to figure out this tumor. Yeah. So please take the time to stop. Reconsider the bad habits that you learned growing up, because all of us have some bad habits. Consider the positive habits that you learned growing up. Put it all in perspective. Journal. It's a really thing to kind of get that stuff out your head and kind of decide what you should be using in your life and what you shouldn't be using in your life. But most importantly, what we all have to do, you guys, is start living life on your terms, right? Because when we're living life on society terms and we're living life on our parents' terms or the way that we were raised up, sometimes it doesn't work out for us. So if you take nothing else from us today, take from us that you need to start living life on your terms.
Well, with that, we will see you guys next time. We look forward to hearing from you about what you're doing with your terms.